Greetings, peace and power. Peace and power. Okay, so we are getting right back into 41 Shades of Men. We are on chapter. Hold on, let me check. My phone loud back out. I'm like, it be taking me long enough. Okay. So 41 Shades of Men. Yeah, I got the longest password ever. And then it's impatient. Okay. We're on chapter 31, The Revenge Man. So again, we are in 41 Shades of Men. Chapter 41. I'm in chapter 31. And that is The Revenge Man. This book is good. I just want to get it done. Y'all know, if I don't get it done, baby, we won't get it done. Some books I can't even get through. I'm going to be honest. So my goal is, being that this is my grandmother's channel, to get this done. Don't waste no time because I got other stuff to do. Today I actually got some work done. Again, second time in a row. Boom. And so I'm like, let me get on here and read some more chapters. Now we're gonna start at chapter 31 and we're gonna keep reading until we can't no more. The Revenge Man. The paradox of vengefulness is that it makes men dependent upon those who have harmed them, believing that their release from pain will come only when their tormentors suffer. And that's a quote from Laura Hillenbrand from Unbroken, a World War II story of survival, resilience, and redemption. And it says, you must understand that men are born as uncultivated putty in need of sculpture. Unfortunately, the sculptor is himself. One cannot sculpt themselves if they have no self-awareness, desire, vision, or purpose. The average male needs someone superior to him to give him purpose. He is unaware of his purpose on this earth and his survival of the fittest and self-mastery. He has to work for and earn every single thing he gets in this life. As I think of this, I don't believe it is he who is unaware of this, but women who are unaware of this. Women think that they are helping and being loving, but they are ruining males when they try to save them from themselves and their reality. Due to the nature of masculine energy, positive charge, which the male body is on the material plane, males cannot exist in cohesion with other positively charged vessels. This is due to the nature of magnetism and polarity. Positive charges repel each other. This means males cannot cohabitate and commune effectively. Effective, effective cohabitation is organizing, planning, and delegating tasks to efficiently run the home. Males don't do this. When they cohabitate, they simply do male stuff and let it ride. Since positively charged ions and particles repel each other, it also explains the nature of males splitting themselves up into gangs. In a social study done on preteen children, the experimenter split up two groups. One group composed of 10 boys and another group composed of 10 girls. They were placed in a house without adult supervision. The boys immediately divided up into gangs. The girls did not. In addition to separating into gangs, males are also built to compete against other males. This reality isolates the male in his mind, thus making him a lone wolf by nature. His lone wolf sentence does not make him an independent, though. Forced isolation is not independence. This is nothing to feel sorry about. It's his raw nature and how it was always intended to be. This is not the biological reality of the woman, though. She is communal by nature, and she is the feminine vessel on the material plane. She is the negative cathode end of a battery or magnet. Multiple negative or cathodes will not repel each other. This means women can cohabitate and commune effectively. They support each other and move together, thus giving them eternal companionship and family. This makes the feminine independent of masculine energy and interdependent on feminine energy. Women are not lone wolves. The male, on the other hand, will either sink or swim. If he sinks, that is simply what was intended for him. It sounds cruel, but it is the reality of his existence. It is this reality that has driven the male to subject, control, and alter Mother Nature and all that is feminine. It is because the feminine does not allow him to exist at his lowest and most deficient state. Therefore, he has been driven to ensure his existence remains on planet Earth. He has discovered many tactics and strategies to ensure that happens. Out of this need to exist is where the creation of artificial systems and philosophies rooted in male thinking arose. These anti-natural patriarchal systems then provided the male with rewards he did not earn. These rewards drastically alter his biological and psychological nature. These systems created a massive sense of entitlement in the male, who began to believe the world owed him something. He was taught that all he had to do was to go to work and provide, and he could have the woman of his choice. He was taught that women choose nice guys. On top of this, in exchange for his niceness, a good job, he believed women would then owe him affection, catering, care, sex, and so many other things. This sense of entitlement spawns a series of negative emotions that arise when he doesn't get what he believes is owed to him. Anger, rage, and envy, plus hostility, are just a few of these emotions. Because patriarchal religions conditioned males to believe that they were created first and that Eve was made from a man's rib to cater to him, they began to believe women should accept them and meet their needs simply because they exist. Contrary to their delusion and entitlement, reality shows them that women are highly selective and have requirements. Women have eyes and don't just go for unattractive guys. Women have personalities and don't like boring companions. Many of these guys were not selected by their crushes because they lacked attractiveness and had nothing in addition to that. Therefore, when they get older and accomplished, they want to take their revenge out on women who didn't choose them when they had nothing. These guys will do many despicable things. Here's a 7-year-old Reddit post made by a male admitting to getting revenge on a girl due to his weak and fragile ego. He also shows his inability to take responsibility for his own actions, behavior, and self-healing. Here's a story of how I got my revenge on a girl I thought I loved. It is a long and emotionally exhausting tale. I was raised in a conservative household and therefore had unrealistic and fantastical ideals of love and relationships. I genuinely want my life to play out like a Disney fantasy. She was raised in a broken home, shafted from home to home, and grew up with deep daddy and mommy emotional issues. I obviously only found this out too late, only after her issues had sucked me in and destroyed me along with her. Growing up, I idolized her. Our interests were similar in the fact I would only see her once or twice a month, depending on which relative she was staying with, made her even more alluring to my young heart. While I was being raised up in a loving home, getting good results, graduating from high school to entering law school, she dropped out of high school and demonstrated typical behaviors of a damaged girl, which is sleeping around, dating much older men, no career ambitions, and financial difficulties, etc. Obviously, I know all of this now. At the time, though, I thought she was just this sweet girl who was dealt an unfortunate hand. I told myself I didn't need to know the details. I would still save her. By the age of 22, everything was going great in my life. I was on a good future path. However, one piece was missing: her. I pursued her and eventually ended up in the backseat of a car having our first kiss together. While that was all great, my unrealistic idea of love implored me to seek a sign that she was, in fact, the one. That she was the special one. Believe it or not, the very next day, I'm in the city and I walk past her having a coffee with a friend. She sees me and calls me over, and all three of us have a great time together. For me, this was a chance coincidence that effed up my life. I was now convinced she was the girl for me. I had to have her. You can imagine the shock and the despair that I felt then when only a week later, while on a late night phone call with her, she tells me she doesn't picture herself with me and that she doesn't want to pursue a relationship with me. From my point of view, I was perfect. What was wrong with her? What was wrong with me for her to reject me? What had I done wrong? What was I missing from me as a person? Did I not deserve her love? What about this sign from above? To my shelter and naive existence, this rejection destroyed me to my core. I had never been rejected before, and I was always happy and never suffered from depression or anxiety. This rejection changed it all. I suffered a breakdown. I cried for nights on end, picturing our lives together and how it could never be. I analyzed everything about myself and critiqued every flaw, searching for an answer as to why, when I was so sure this was right, this relationship failed. Thankfully, I reached out to the right resources and followed the rules. I cut all contact with her. While this saved face with her, I was still hurting inside privately. I told no one about this experience. I was extremely bitter and angry, not just at her anymore, but at life and love. I started to resent women and without realizing it, started to passively aggressively react to them negatively. It just so happens that about 3 months after cutting contact, I had planned an internship overseas. It was organized through my university, and I would be staying at a local family's house. This was a fantastic situation to take my mind off of everything that had happened and move on. It was to my disbelief, and now looking back, unfortunate timing that the family I was trying to stay with had the most beautiful daughter I had ever seen in my life. One look at this woman made me forget about everything else wrong in my life. During my stay, we got closer and closer, and I learned that she had all the characteristics that I wanted in a partner. She was everything the other girl was not. She was everything the other girl was not. Unfortunately, my bitterness and suspiciousness of women, because of this past experience, took a hold of me, and I did something to this girl that destroyed any potential relationship I could hope for. I blamed the original girl for this failed relationship. If I wasn't so emotionally damaged and crippled by my experience with her, I would have treated the overseas girl differently and maybe developed something. But no, even thousands of miles away, this girl was still ruining my life, and it was now time to get my revenge. Another year passed with no contact when through our social circle, we finally met each other on a night out. By this time, I had improved myself considerably. I had addressed what I thought were my flaws to ensure she could never reject me again. And that night we kissed again. She seemed so impressed with me now. We slowly reconnected and started hanging out more. All the while, I was subtly getting her to fall in love with me. During the years of no contact, I had been in other short term relationships. I had slept with women and started to understand how to get them to click. It was exactly the opposite of what I was taught growing up. Respecting women, appreciating them, giving compliments, none of that worked. You had to be a man. You had to give off the impression that you were with 3 or 4 women on the side for them to respect you. I hated everything about this, but it worked. I eventually managed to get so close with this girl that she finally let me sleep with her. Immediately after she told me that no other man had ever made her orgasm that fast. This is the beginning of getting her attached to me emotionally and physically. She opened up to me and started to pour out her past. This is where I began to learn about her troubled past. It shocked me how little I knew of this girl. I had fallen in love with an idea of her. She was nothing like what I had pictured originally. The more I learned about her, the more I despised her past. The more I despised her as a worthless person. I felt ashamed I had let someone so weak affect me the way she had. She was now in my hands to do with her as I will, and I wanted to make her feel the pain she had made me feel all those years. As months passed, our relationship grew stronger and stronger. I got her to open up to me sexually, making her do things that she had refused to do with previous partners. She was now wanting to please me. She was now seeing everything she had missed all those years. She was proud of me. This all culminated in a conversation where she wanted us to take the next step. During all of this, knowing I had no intention of having a real relationship with her, I had not told any of our friends or family about our relationship. She was now putting pressure on me, wanting to make it official to the world, wanting to tell her parents that we were now serious, wanting to flaunt me to all her friends. Isn't this funny how things change? It was during this conversation that I told her I wanted nothing to do with her. I told her she shouldn't tell anybody about us because it wasn't in us. I left her crying and cut all contact with her. That was over 9 months ago. We have not spoken a word or even seen each other in 9 months now. I only bring this story up because we have a mutual friend's wedding coming up in the next week, and I'm sure we'll run into each other. I don't know how either of us will react or what will happen. All I know is that I wish I never kissed her in the back of that car. There's so much to gather from this confession. However, the most important thing to take away from this is idealizing other humans and living in a romanticized fantasy is self disappointment. He created this problem and punished her for what he did to himself. This is not the fault of the person whom you did not take the time out to learn and get to know. The male takes no responsibility for his own behaviors or thoughts, and as a result, seeks to destroy you for being yourself and living your individual life. Many guys will do this to women whom they have never dealt with, but look like the types who did reject them. As you can see from this confession, males carry pain almost indefinitely due to their emotional weakness. Remember, studies show that males experience inflammation when they experience 2 or more breakups or living alone for an extended period of time. My advice, you can see the male admits to studying female psychology and behavior problems. This is something women have not done with males. Women live in a land of total oblivion and delusion. You allow them to gain a one-up on you due to your mental and emotional laziness. Stop idealizing relationships and men. Learn what love is. The 5 components of love is a requirement for life as a woman. Learn who males are. The male is incapable of the 5 components of love. And it will do you justice to not concern yourself with his ability to get it or not. The Love, Men, and Manipulation Decoded workshop illustrates it all. Put yourself first and live in the here and now reality of life. Now that was chapter 31, the Revenge Man. We are going to be moving on to chapter 2. Chapter 32, the Rebound Man. Rebound relationships are a great way to boost your ego while completely shattering an innocent person's life. We are all familiar with this guy. The guy who just recently broke up with a girlfriend or recently divorced and has an impacted self-image. He is going through depression, physical pain, and is newly single. The male has no direction or purpose without a woman in his proximity. Males are very oblivious to the relationship problems due to their innate selfishness and lack of listening abilities. Typically, women go through the breakup before she actually physically breaks up. As a result, the impact on her is very minimal. Even when a male breaks up with her out of nowhere, she still does not experience the physical pain and the male experiences. Hold on. Let me put this up here. The Rebound Man. The effect of this abrupt separation is the male finds himself in a desperate need to diminish his pain and occupy his mind with a distraction. This distraction is most often another woman. Sometimes you will know he's recently broken up, and other times you won't. The Rebound Man is using your time, your energy, and your availability to pacify himself. Most often, he is not serious about you. Sex is used as a stress reliever. So, being able to relieve himself in another body is a great way to dim the pain. Here is a Reddit confession to support this claim. I'm currently dating a girl and I know it's a rebound relationship. She doesn't think so. Does this make me a terrible person? I, a 24-year-old male, recently got out of a 6-year relationship that I thought was going to last forever and now just looking for some fun. I met this girl, 19-year-old female, through a friend, and she is fun and super hot and we have the best time together, but she is a lot more invested in the relationship than I am. She isn't a person I want to spend the rest of my life with. I know that, but I don't want to tell her that because these 4 months have been wonderful. I even quit drinking after starting only 2 years ago. She actually is making me a better person, but it's like she's molding me into a man that will, in the future, break up with her, meet another woman, marry her, and be good and responsible. Be a good and responsible husband and hopefully a father. Am I deceiving her for not mentioning this? Or am I free of all guilt until she asks me the question, where do you see this relationship going? She is awesome, funny, excellent at board games, amazing in the set, and we actually bonded over our love of Pokemon, but I don't see her as a wife material or mother of my children material. I'm not saying she's not worthy of anything. Believe me, she's 10 levels above me in the who is better human being game, but I don't see longevity here. What are my obligations here, guys? Is this evil? And if so, is the level of evil I can get over with time? She's very hot, guys. Do you see the deception, selfishness, and utter confusion here? Males intentionally use you to fulfill their needs. They do not know what they want, and they willingly lie to you and lead you astray. They know what they are doing to you. He did this to a 19-year-old girl, took advantage of her naivete. This is who they say their preferences are. Yet, you, as a more experienced woman, will jump through hoops and drain yourself of your life force energy to get a male to validate you. You could be a 10, hot and 10 levels above him in the who is a better human category, and he still will not validate you. The reason you have suffered in your life with males is because you have done little to no research, dismissed your own experiences and the experiences of other women, and chalked it up to just be some men. Your faulty beliefs are the cause of your pain. Your desire to spare the male ego is the cause of your pain. Call a spade a spade. It's not some men, it's the overwhelming majority of them. Some men are good men, they are of the minority. Remember, the definition of delusion is a false belief or judgment about external reality held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, occurring especially in mental conditions. The majority of the world is mentally ill and they don't know it. Crazy people do not know they are crazy. Your delusions are causing your problems in life. My advice, give him time to reveal his true intentions with you. There are certain behavioral patterns that you can see when a person is truly serious about you. This is detailed in the 5 Components of Love book and the Love Men Manipulation Decoded workshop. Okay, so we're on chapter 33. This is the Polyman. Hold on. I'm just trying to think. Where did I see that dude the other day? Okay, so we are on chapter 33, the Polyman. I never tell one client that I cannot attend his sales convention because I have a previous engagement with another client. Successful polygamy depends upon pretending to each spouse that she is the only pebble on your beach. And that's a quote by David Ogilvy. The key word in this quote is pretend. Males have to play into the female fantasy, which means they have to lie. Women demand these lies. Lies have an expiration date and cannot be sustained for long periods of time. The polyman is very easy to identify. He will typically be vocal and loudly to push polygamy. If you are in the U.S. and pay close attention, you will notice most often this male is of African American or American Indian descent. Why? Because the Black American male is on the bottom of the socioeconomic totem pole. His moral deficits are due to his perpetual relegation to the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy in relation to males of other racial and ethnic backgrounds. Although the male is the male, regardless of race or ethnicity, either ethnic group has a set of philosophies and politics which give their group of males, of males a socio-economic advantage. This advantage gives the illusion of male-to-male superiority and hierarchy. Unfortunately for the Black male, he has no governing philosophy that encourages him to improve his position on the Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. He rejects philosophies of truth that white men have dominated because he believes in subjective truths. Instead of learning the philosophy of the winners, he studies the philosophy of the losers. He desperately tries to make the foundation of male nature the governing philosophy. He does this all while the dominating male has incorporated the foundations of female nature as the governing philosophy. By incorporating female nature into male governing philosophy, it automatically pushes those males to control and direct their nature. Males who make male nature their governing philosophy effectively destroys themselves and everything around them much more quickly and evidently. Males innately know the woman is the power source. So, because of this, the poly male seeks to elevate himself on the backs of women instead of embodying these principles of women's nature within himself. Much like the pimp, but this male has no leadership skills. Whereas the pimp is governed by philosophy and uses discipline to catapult himself to the highest level of the game in the underworld, the truly skilled pimp will typically leverage the resources of the woman to elevate himself above the underworld to play in the corporate league. He governs and controls his sex drive and is a businessman. The poly man needs to tap into the resources of multiple women to sustain himself without any desire to do business. He needs each woman to provide money, sex, housing, ego, fulfillment, and labor to make him comfortable. And he wants threesomes and all. The poly man wants to showboat for the world to see him reap the rewards of nothing and see that he is living the dream. He has no intentions to strive for anything besides living 100% off of women. He cannot succeed in business. He does not want to work, and he does not desire to provide anything for the women. He is totally defeated by his lack of willpower. The drive and external competition in the free market. My advice: do not volunteer to help and reward a male who cannot excel in the world of competition like he was designed to do. Mm. So we got chapter 35. No. Chapter 34, the white girl man. And then chapter 35, the lesbian man. Okay, y'all. So we just did 3 chapters or 2. I'm trying to see these chapters getting longer and longer. I ain't gonna be able to do it. So I'm gonna go and get up out of here. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.